What's going on, YouTube? This is BoxingWave. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Also follow me on all social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, at BoxingWave10. Also, make sure you hit that bell notification so you'll be alerted whenever I drop new content. All right. I really don't know where to begin with this because as recently as last week, I remember doing a live where I didn't think this fight would happen next. And when I say this fight, I mean Fury and Joshua. Okay. I've kind of sat back throughout this whole, hype train of this fight happening because I wanted to be sure that this fight really happened. All right. I haven't dropped any content on the third fight or the first fight between these two because I just wasn't sure, and it wasn't strictly because of Wilder. It just didn't feel right to me. It never felt right. And I know Eddie and in either both fighters too, because Fury just came out yesterday and said the fight is happening on August 14th. I never made any content on a Fury and Joshua fight. All right, of course I've spoken on it, just never did it. And even with Wilder and Fury, I made very, very little content when it came to them. I knew the news. I remember the news came out about them going through arbitration in order to settle this dispute on the third fight. All right. I didn't make any content on it because I kind of like to just sit back. This is boxing at the end of the day, and we normally don't get what we want, especially when it comes to the two of the biggest fighters in the sport. They're not part of the same network. They don't have the same promoters. So it's always going to be a conflict when it's this kind of money involved. We're talking millions. This is big time money. And when it comes to the heavyweights, at least between Fury, Joshua, and Wilder, I kind of took a back seat. I made a little content about the glove gate and all of that stuff, but I didn't stick on it too long because it really didn't matter to me. I didn't want to take away from any of the attention I would give to fighters that are actually fighting each other, and that's my stance when it comes to this. And it's been my stance. It's hard for me to make content as much of as some of the other channels out there. But when I do make the content, I want it to count. And I want it to count for fighters that are actually fighting each other. Shout out to Joshua because he did actually fight recently. He fought Pulev. And he was trying to get us this undisputed fight with Fury. And I really want to see this undisputed fight. But what's important to me is undisputed. All right? That goes across the board with every other division. I want to see undisputed. So whether it was Fury and Joshua, Fury and Wilder, Joshua and Wilder, I just want to see undisputed. I don't really care about who are the two champions. I recently did a top 10 most, I guess, wanted fights for me. And even though Joshua and Wilder, the potential of that actually happening is like a thing of the past now, I still put it at the top of my list. Because I still really want to still see that fight, regardless. Well, but I do prioritize undisputed before anything. So I do want to I do want to see an undisputed fight. I wanted to see the Joshua and Fury fight. But I'm disappointed, but I'm not surprised. This is kind of a thing that happens with the sport. Fights are usually drawn out for a very long time. We saw that with Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao. Usually we just don't get the fights when we want to get them. As long as I've been watching boxing, there's plenty of fights that I wanted to see at a certain period. Usually when both fighters are in their prime or undefeated. And we normally just don't get it. We're not getting it right now with Errol and Bud. And I'm not saying they'll never fight. Maybe they will one day. But we won't get it when they're both coming off great wins and they're both fresh and undefeated. I think by the time we do get it, it'll probably be too late. All right. We almost lost it with Spence getting involved in that car accident. All right. Well, we almost lost his life. That's bigger than that. But you guys get what I'm saying. I'm talking about the actual fight. So listen, if you haven't heard the news, and it's all over boxing media at this point, Deontay Wilder won the arbitration case against Tyson Fury. Getting all the names mixed up. Deontay Wilder won. Basically, last year, regardless of the outcome of the second fight, these guys agreed to fight for a third time. Okay? Because of the pandemic, slowed things up, which led to the contract expiring. They were supposed to fight by a specific time, date, whatever. Sometime last year, late 2018. So we all kind of just thought that this would all go away. Well, some of us did. Most of us did. And it didn't go away. And it makes me wonder why Fury hasn't fought since Wilder rematch. Remember when Fury almost fought in December, against Caballero? It makes me wonder how much did this arbitration play a role in why Fury hasn't been in the ring since beating Wilder in that rematch. It makes you wonder. These are some of the things I did wonder, because I just don't understand why he didn't fight in December just to keep himself fresh. But that was my main reason on why I didn't think Tyson Fury would fight Joshua next. It just didn't make sense to me for Fury to go over a year. By the time that he fights Joshua, a year and a half of not fighting anyone and being inactive, to going straight to fighting Anthony Joshua, who is active. Came back for Ruiz, looked great. For Pulev late last year. All right. And it didn't make sense to me for Fury to do that. It's very risky. Even if you think Fury is better, it's a little risky to go a year and a half without fighting to go in to fight Anthony Joshua. That was always my stance when it came to this. This is why I didn't believe the fight would happen. Now, I know we've heard interviews with Eddie and Bob, and it's all about securing, the business aspect and the Saudis getting the money together, because it is a high valued fight. So you want the money to be on point. We want these guys to get paid. This is an undisputed heavyweight fight. And we want the fighters to get paid. We do. All right. So the Saudis, and, we was waiting for everyone to get everything together. So I know that did play a part. But you also got to wonder now, Why hasn't Fury fought? You know? So listen, Deontay Wilder won the case. And that basically means that by contract, right? The original contract, it still stands. So that whole it expired thing, it doesn't exist anymore. So we're back to square one where we were after Wilder lost in the rematch. We're back to that. So you can't just go and fight, have Fury and Joshua fight each other. It doesn't work that way. So the two options that we have at this point, unless more news come out, is for Tyson Fury to pay Wilder step aside money so they can have this undisputed fight. Or if they are going to go on and fight each other, Fury and Joshua, most likely they're going to get sued by Deontay Wilder. This is what arbitration is about, you know. It's not litigation. Let's not deal with the court. We have a dispute. Let's settle this privately so we don't have to worry about going to court and it getting messy without the lawsuit. Because lawsuit's going to take time. It's going to cost a lot of people money. They don't really want to go through that, you know? And it really makes sense, you know, because once you agree with something, regardless of what what was agreed upon in the contract as far as expiration dates, when you have a pandemic and when you're unable to fight, because of a global pandemic, something that we weren't prepared for, where everything is shut down, you know, the expiration date, you know, it should be some sort of delay when it comes to that. So it makes sense. So I understand. Do I want undisputed? Absolutely. I wish Joshua and Fury would fight right now. Do I want that? Absolutely. But at the same time, it makes sense. And I am not surprised that Wilder won this case. I am not surprised. This is part of the reason why I haven't made content. And some of you ask me all the time, yo, how come you don't do videos about Wilder or not Wilder, but Fury and Joshua? You know, because I don't think the fight is going to happen. Next. Now, it still may happen. And let me get into that. And I am trying to be here. I'm trying to be very open-minded about it on both ends. All right. The hype for Joshua and Fury is huge. It's there. Everybody thinks the fight is going to happen. All right. Eddie Hearn has been pushing it heavy, a lot heavier than Frank Warren and BT and Top Rank. They've been pushing it hard. Eddie has made people believe that this fight is going to happen. Everybody, all the boxing fans are talking about it. You know, every time there's news, like they found a venue or they have a date or they signed contracts, yada, yada, yada. The hype is all there. So, in that sense, because the hype is there, they should try to push on with the fight. The problem with that is Wilder, it's not on the same team. Wilder now has the power to shut the fight down. So in order, hey, you guys want to have your undisputed fight? Cool. But you're going to have to pay me a huge amount of money in order for that fight to happen. So if the pot is $150 million, I want a big chunk of that because I'm responsible for letting this fight happen. Now, I don't know what the exact number is. I don't know that. All right. Regardless of what people have gone around and said, a lot of people on YouTube make videos. I'm not talking about that. Whatever the amount is, I'm sure it's going to be a huge amount. Right? So, is Fury and Joshua willing to pay Wilder this huge amount, a good portion of the purse, in order to sit out and watch the fight at home? Are they willing to do that? Maybe. Maybe they feel it's worth it. Now, on the other hand, on the flip side, what if Deontay Wilder really wants this fight so bad that he's like, nah, I don't want step aside money. You cheated. And that's been the narrative since the fight, right? Fury cheated against Deontay Wilder because of the gloves, whether they were flopping around, whether they were loaded, whatever you want to believe. All right. It's poisoned water or, spiked water. I'm sorry, not poison. It's spiked water, whatever you want to believe. The whole Mark Breland stuff, whatever you want to believe, the costume was heavy. He was out. Whatever you want to believe. All right. This video is not about that. We over that. Whatever you want to believe. If Wilder truly believes, which I believe he does with some of the things he said, if Wilder truly believes he was cheated in that Fury fight, I'm not talking about his fans. I'm not talking about people on YouTube. All right? If Wilder believes that Fury cheated and the belt was stolen from him, he should be fighting Tyson Fury. He should not be taking the step aside money. That's what, and I'm speaking for myself. With everything that's been said in this past year, 2020 boxing YouTube, like YouTube boxing and just social media in general, was left with Wilder and Fury cheating talk. The whole last year. I think I went like 6 months without even making a video last year. Because I didn't care. All right? So yeah. I don't know how it's going to play out. But I do believe that Wilder, since he won arbitration, the honorable thing to do is fight for your belt and run that back. Because that's what his fans wanted, right? All the people that claim that he was cheated against should run that back. They should also want Wilder to run that back. Right? So the opportunity is here. Now, financially, what is going to make sense? Because the hype is for Joshua and Fury right now. The hype is not Wilder and Fury 3. So, since that's the case, how much more money does the Fury and Joshua, I'm sorry, not Fury and Wilder, because I keep getting their names mixed up. Fury and Wilder 3. How profitable is that fight? And how far off from what that purse is, how far off would it be if Wilder decides to ask for step aside money? Now I'm thinking here, Wilder's going to win in both scenarios. Because whatever he asks for step aside is going to be a lot of money. It's probably going to be the most step aside money we've ever heard before, right? And if he doesn't take that, he's going to be taking the fight. What's going to happen? All I know is that this is a huge threat for the Joshua and Fury fight. Huge threat. In financially, or in a way that it might not even happen. What do I want? I want undisputed. But if I'm Team Wilder, if I'm Deontay Wilder, based on what he said, I would take the fight. All right. And there's no other way around it, guys. Unfortunately, there's no other way. It doesn't matter what Fury and what these guys are saying. It doesn't matter. I'm sure that these promoters or anyone is involved in making this fight, I'm sure these guys have already prepared for this. So hopefully, even though this is news for us, I'm pretty sure these guys prepared for this, right? So hopefully we can get a follow-up soon. So, we can move on and, listen, I just want an announcement to be made. If Fury and Joshua are going to fight each other, I want it to be official. All right. No dates, no venues. Don't scream out nothing. I don't want to hear anything else at this point. And if Fury is going to have to fight Wilder for a third time, then schedule it. So we can talk about that and we can move with Joshua. Joshua, you could go fight Usyk now. You don't have to pay Usyk step aside because he's your mandatory. Do what you got to do. Usyk is not a bad opponent. Yes, I wanted to see undisputed. But it'll give the Fury Wilder, that whole thing, it will give it some closure. Being that we had a draw in the first fight. We had a controversial stoppage in the second fight. Controversial because of all the things that followed up after the fight. So in order to give this closure, let them have their fight. All right. And Joshua could go on to fight Usyk. Because when I was making videos about that, after Joshua beat Pulev and we were waiting to see what was going on, there were a lot of people that left comments saying that they want to see Joshua fight Usyk. There are a lot of people that want to see that fight. Now, do I want to see it more than Undisputed? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Do I want to see Wilder and Fury 3 more than Undisputed? Absolutely not. But get it done. That's my whole stance on it. Whatever you guys decide to do, get it done. I don't want to play no more games when it comes to this, all right? And that's it. All right, guys, listen. Josh Taylor, Jose Ramirez, undisputed. A real undisputed fight that's actually happening. That's coming up this weekend. I will definitely be here live for it. And I definitely will be giving you my breakdown by tomorrow, Wednesday, the latest. All right, so be on the lookout for that. And I also will be giving you content on over the weekend, a recap. All right, but I had to make this video because this is huge news, and I was waiting for something solid to come out when it comes to Fury and Joshua. And this is the most solid bit of news that we've got since they started pushing this fight. All right, everything else was just bullshit, pretty much. All right. Anyway, make sure you subscribe, like the video, and also hit that bell notification as well. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.